I'm Matt McClure, and this is Currents. It's a day of fun for a good cause for kids and parents in the Diocese of Brooklyn.
These are not the only thing that we're giving out. We're giving out notebooks, school supplies, and kids are just having fun.
Before classes start up for the new school year, we'll talk with Bishop DiMarzio about the importance of Catholic education.
We combine in Catholic education quality and also the content of faith, which is so important.
And activating faith while making a difference.
Be active, because faith produces actions, and that's what we're showing through this donation.
Well, good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. Francesca Maxime has the night off. As Chuck Berry famously sang, "Ring, ring goes the bell." That's right, it's that time of year again, time for kids to get ready to head back to class for the start of another school year. And that's the focus on this special back-to-school edition of Currents. And just what would the end of summer be without a little fun? Well, Catholic Charities of Brooklyn and Queens hosted a Kids Fun Day recently with plenty of games and some useful information as well for students before they go back to school.
Right foot, let's start. Left foot, let's start. One hop this time. One hop this time.
So this is our second annual event, and the way it started was we had received last year a few school supplies as a donation, and we really wanted to think of a way to give them out to the community, not just hand them out, but also bring other resources. And that's how we came up with our Kids Day events. Catholic Migration is here, the Floating Hospital. We have Home Depots doing woodworking. For a lot of kids, they've never worked with a hammer or nail, so this is the first time they're using that. Queens Museum is doing an art project. We have the New York Fire Department, they're also here, and they have the smokehouse. So not only are they getting the school supplies, but they're also getting some educational activities as well.
This fire safety house that we have here saved an entire family in Staten Island about a year and a half ago. We taught the two children, they were sisters, what to do in the case of a fire, and about 6 hours later that night they had a huge fire in their house and they were able to save their grandmother, understanding what we taught them earlier that day.
I think that Catholic Charities is an integral part of the community. Our community center receives over 20,000 calls annually for people in need from the community, whether it's financial assistance, other referrals and resources. And Catholic Charities has over 180 programs throughout Brooklyn and Queens, so chances are we have one of those programs to help.
This is a great event, not only because kids are actually going to get the school supplies, but also to help the parents also, especially in this time of economic crisis, so they can get a little bit of help in getting the school supplies.
It kind of does show that a lot of people are in need for certain things. Like, these are not the only thing that we're giving out. We're giving out notebooks, school supplies, and kids are just having fun.
I think it's really helpful to other people economically because some people don't have money to buy school supplies for their kids. So coming to Catholic Charities and getting books and stuff like that is a very good, helpful thing for them.
We're seeing people accessing our community center who may have never accessed it in the past due to unemployment mostly. More of a middle-class family is now coming to see us, and they may have never asked for services before, which I think makes it very difficult for people, and they're embarrassed. And so for them, this is a great opportunity. We let them know they're not alone in this and really try and help them.
A good time had by all there. Looks like it was a lot of fun and definitely something that benefited the kids and their families as well. Well, stay with us. When we come back, we'll have the day's headlines, including a former Belgian church leader denying accusations he covered up a sex abuse case. But first, throughout tonight's show, we'll be hearing from some of the young people at the Kids Fun Day event you just saw. They'll be telling us what they're looking forward to as they get ready to head back to school.
I'm excited to go back to school because I get to meet new people and I get to see my new teacher.
Have some good times like I did last year.
I get to see my third grade teacher, and her name is Miss Clark. She's the best teacher in the school, and I get to see her because I like doing fun stuff.
To learn more stuff. play and go outside. I'm gonna get better in math and other subjects.
Because it's fun and good activities. I'm excited to go back to school to get out the house.
I get to meet new people and my old friends and just have fun.
Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure. Coming up in just a bit, some young people activate their faith for a good cause. But first, let's turn to the day's headlines. Well, the former Archbishop of Brussels is defending himself after he was recorded apparently urging a clergy sex abuse victim not to go public. Cardinal Godfrey Daniels denies that there was a cover-up and said the taped conversations were misinterpreted. CNN's Atika Schubert has the latest now from Belgium.
This is the Cathedral of Saint-Michel in Brussels, and this is where Cardinal Godfrey Daniels was Archbishop, head of all of the Belgian Catholic Church. Now, he is under increasing public pressure after those audio recordings were made public. He insists that he's done nothing wrong, that the recordings were taken out of context, and that he was simply trying to mediate a reconciliation between the victim and the abuser. Now, Cardinal Daniels has not made any public statements, but we did have an opportunity to talk to his lawyers. Here's what his lawyers told us.
Absolutely false, absolutely wrong. As I said, character assassination. An honest and a correct reading, a plain reading of the transcripts, proves the point to any reader that at no point during this meeting there was any pressure whatsoever by the cardinal to do something or not to do something, to say something or not to say something.
Now, Cardinal Daniels insists he's done nothing wrong, but victim rights groups say that this is just the latest example of how the church has been ignoring their concerns and brushing aside the cases that have been brought forward to them. We spoke to the victim of one separate child abuse case. We asked her what she thought of these audio recordings and how they would impact victims like herself. Here's what she told us.
Daniels is telling us that he cannot do anything about it, so we have to go to the congregation. But what is the congregation telling us? We cannot do anything about it. They just take the abuser, they put him away in another school, he can continue till he dies. And then he says, go to the Pope. Yeah, what's the Pope going to do? The same? No, nothing. It's no solution. We have just go to the police, to justice.
What's clear is that Belgium is now only just coming to grips with the extent of child abuse cases within the Catholic Church. There are already more than 500 cases that have come forward, most of them dating from 20 or 30 years ago. Those files are now in police custody and an investigation is underway.
That is CNN's Atika Schubert in Brussels. Well, here in New York, the proposed Islamic Center in Lower Manhattan continues to stir up controversy, but a local community board leader says she has an idea for a compromise. Opponents of the center say the proposed site is too close to ground zero, while supporters say any religious group should be able to build a house of worship wherever they want. Manhattan Community Board 1 Chairman Julie Menon says part of the center should be turned into an interfaith area for people regardless of their religious background. Menon says that while she supports the Park 51 project going up as currently proposed, the interfaith component could bring people together. Now, meantime, a pastor in Texas is in hot water for his recent comments about Islam. At a recent church event, he accused Islam of promoting pedophilia. As Monica Diaz reports, Muslim leaders in Dallas are outraged.
The head pastor of the First Baptist Church in downtown Dallas never backs down from offering his opinion. In last Sunday's Ask the Pastor event, he shared his beliefs on Islam after being asked how to respond to someone who equates the Muslim jihad to the Christian Crusades.
It is an oppressive treater of women. It is a religion, and here's the deep, dark, dirty secret of Islam. It is a religion that promotes pedophilia, sex with children.
Pastor Robert Jeffress's response to the question lasted about 6 minutes.
It is an evil religion. It is an oppressive religion. It is a violent religion that has incited the attacks around the world and the attacks against our country.
Islamic leaders in downtown Dallas told us Jeffress crossed the line.
It's unfortunate that he made those kinds of statements. I expect more of the clergy.
The imam of the oldest mosque in downtown Dallas says Islam does not promote sex with children. He says Jeffress lacks understanding of the teachings of Islam.
I think he's fanning the flames of hate, and that is absolutely wrong. I really don't think that represents the core of Christianity.
We met with Jeffress on Sunday, and he stands by his comments.
I believe it is the truth. I think the record is clear. Again, not all Muslims are evil, not all Muslims incite violence, but this is a religion that is responsible for the oppression of women around the world.
For Shahid, Jeffress's words are irresponsible in a multi-religious society, and that all leaders should preach tolerance.
I think we can meet and talk and work together. I think we can dispel ignorance then.
Monica Diaz reporting in Dallas. Well, in one largely Muslim area of central China, Catholics are a small minority, but the Vatican says that may be changing. The Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples says adult baptisms are rising in Xining. That's a city of 2.2 million people. Local Catholics opened a new church community this month, and several adults were baptized there. There are more than 3,000 Catholics in the city, with 6 priests, 17 nuns, and 3 churches. Well, a Catholic women's group in the UK is gearing up for Pope Benedict's trip there next month with an ad campaign calling for the ordination of women. The Catholic Women's Organization bought ad space in London buses for 4 weeks. The posters will read, "Pope Benedict, ordain women now." The leader of the group told the UK Press Association she feels Catholics are forbidden from discussing the issue of women's ordination in public, so the group had to take extreme measures. Now, Pope Benedict will visit the UK from September 16th through the 19th. We'll have special coverage each night right here on the net. Well, meantime, Pope Benedict is expected to address some other controversial issues in an upcoming book. Reports say he will discuss the clergy sex abuse scandal, among other things, in the book that's based on interviews with a German journalist. We get details now from Rome Reports.
A book based on a series of interviews with Benedict XVI will be published by the Vatican. German journalist Peter Siewald interviewed the Pope over this summer. The conversations will be compiled and produced in a book, but the date of the publication has yet to be decided. On 2 separate occasions, Peter Siewald interviewed the future Pope when he was Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger. The interviews looked at his life, the challenges of contemporary culture, and those facing the Church. Benedict XVI is not the first Pope to agree to publish a book based on interviews with him. In 1994, John Paul II responded to questions from Italian journalist Vittorio Messori, who later published a book entitled Crossing the Threshold of Hope.
And finally tonight, a Catholic diocese in Iowa, which recently filed bankruptcy, is celebrating the success of a huge capital fundraising campaign right in the midst of the economic crisis. Reports say the Diocese of Davenport was hard hit by the clergy sex abuse scandal, and it was forced to file bankruptcy. In its first capital campaign in 2 decades, the Catholic faithful there have now pledged more than $22 million for the diocese. Roughly 9,700 people contributed, so that shakes out to about $2,300 per donor. Bishop Martin Amos says he's overwhelmed by the response, and the campaign allows Davenport to move forward, quote, in faith and hope. Well, stay tuned. There's much more Currents coming up.
The coolest thing about the first day of school is you get to find out who the teacher is, and you gotta hope she's nice.
They just ask you to do your address and all that stuff, and stuff like that, and you don't have to do any work.
We got to settle ourselves down in the classroom and then meet the new teacher.
The coolest thing about first day of school is that you can meet new friends when they come from a different school.
Well, I gotta say, you don't have to get no homework.
Actually, just making new friends. You get to do a lot of art projects.
Learning new things.
Celebrate.
You don't get homework because it's too hot.
Sometimes their teachers give you presents.
Welcome back. Well, with the new school year getting started, we thought it was a good time to go into the deep with Bishop DiMarzio and hear some of his thoughts about education and Catholic schools. So recently, Francesca and I sat down to discuss that and more with the bishop. Bishop DiMarzio, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your time.
Good to be back.
It's just about time for kids all across the country, right here in the Brooklyn Diocese, no different, to go back to school. Tell us a little bit, as people get ready to head back to school, about the importance of Catholic education in particular.
Well, education is critical to life. Unless we're educated, we really can't live our life fully. And certainly Catholic education helps us to live our lives of faith fully. I think we combine in Catholic education quality and also the content of faith, which is so important. So both of them come together in Catholic education. I think we do a very good job at it, except that we don't have it universally available to everybody. We can't accommodate everybody. We never could, really. The bishops in the Council of Baltimore back in the 19th century wanted every parish to have a Catholic school. We never achieved that goal, but today we're trying to consolidate the ones we do have so that we can have Catholic education available to those who can avail themselves of it. Fortunately, at one time it was free, and now they have to pay for it because we don't have the religious staffing the schools. So we've kind of come around. We recognize the importance of it, but we're trying to preserve it. And our Diocese of Brooklyn has looked for the whole idea of preserving the mission, which is important to us in our Catholic schools. Yeah.
Well, Bishop DiMarzio, that was my next question, is what are some of the specific challenges that are facing Catholic education today here in the diocese and perhaps even beyond?
Well, much of it is financial. I think when we have enough students in a school, we can float it. It will work financially. But already we're inundated with requests for scholarships, tuition assistance. So this is one of the major challenges, trying to keep the schools at full capacity so that we can break even, and trying to subsidize it at the same time. Many different things we're doing, a lot of different programs, Futures in Education, they have a foundation, they have an endowment, we have alumni working on alumni for schools, we have angels, people adopting students. We've tried every mechanism there is, and we're succeeding. But last year, for example, we had a request for $12 million worth of scholarships. We were able to give only 8 out. Wow. So it was $4 million. We're short. So we're trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah. And it's a tough thing to do, especially in these economic times as well, I'm sure. I want to pick up on something that you mentioned just a moment ago, kind of briefly, that the fact that there aren't a lot of religious brothers and sisters staffing Catholic schools these days. Why is that?
Well, there's a lack of vocations to these religious teaching orders, and because of that, they have no one to put into the schools. Most of them that are there are aging. We have a few communities that have younger people going in that are specifically aimed at teaching. Today, religious orders do more than teaching. At one time, they were almost exclusively devoted to teaching. Now they've diversified their mission and their apostolates. So there's less people available to staff the schools.
And Bishop, to the young people that are out there who are actually heading back to school with their sharpened pencils and their backpacks, whether it's a Catholic education or a public school or perhaps another private school, what would you say to them as they enter this school year coming up?
Well, I think they've got to remember that education is the most important thing that is the key to their life and their future. I always remember when I went back to school in September, even when I was in college, I had this pit in your stomach. And oh, back we go again. It isn't the happiest thing you do, I guess.
Right.
Although education today maybe is a lot easier than it was at one time, but it is difficult. We're starting from what we don't know to try to learn what we should know, and it's an effort. It's a struggle. So, but I want to tell the students it's worth it. Keep at it, and you'll gain something that's important.
Stick with it. All right. Well, Bishop DiMarzio, thank you so much for joining us on Currents today.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Well, I'll be back in a moment, but first, some more thoughts about heading back to school from the kids celebrating Fun Day.
Math, reading, and writing. That we get to play around a lot, and we get free time.
Math because I enjoy adding numbers and learning new things.
gym, and math.
That you get to have fun with your friends and stuff.
I like to read, like reading.
The thing I like most about school is the work that they give us to improve our grades.
We can do math and have fun and go to recess. So I like to learn.
Gym?
Gym, having fun, and all that.
Recess, recess.
Well, finally tonight, just as a robin is the first sign of spring, summer back-to-school sales tell us that the school year is about to begin. Funny how that works, huh? Well, not everybody can afford the notebooks, the rulers, the binders, and the book bags, though. And that's one reason why the charismatic group Jóvenes de Valor hosted a special evening recently with an unusual entry fee, a book bag filled with school supplies. We stopped by to check it out.
Tonight our event is called Activa tu Fe, Activate Your Faith, and what this event is about is activating your faith, literally. Behind me, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of book bags, and we're asking everybody, instead of paying a fee in order to come to the event, the donation or the fee is a book bag with school supplies.
As you know or may not know, in the Dominican Republic, in Mexico, a lot of kids don't have book bags. They carry their books in garbage bags or in shopping bags, in plastic bags. Right now I have a team of people in Dominican Republic and another team in Mexico that will be giving out the book bags to these orphanages.
We have come to praise and to pray to the Lord to activate our faith.
Every last Saturday of each month, we do events like this, Café con Cristo, which basically is getting the youth together to worship, to praise God, because, you know, there's a lot of youth out there don't know who God is in their life.
We turn this garden area into like a lounge setting, into a very relaxed setting. We have food. It's a great atmosphere to just talk to each other, be with each other, fellowship, but also be active, because faith produces actions, and that's what we're showing through this donation, through this.
Our events are known for great worship. They're known for energy. They're known for, just using music and using drama and using dance to express our faith.
Praise Him. Give God the praise right now. Give God the praise right now.
When you read the Bible, after Jesus left, the disciples were in the upper room waiting for the Holy Spirit. And Jesus said very clearly, do not leave this room until you receive it. That's a great thing when a young person can understand that they need a relationship not only with the Father, not only with the Son, but also with the Holy Spirit.
We're all in the presence of God, and when you're in that presence, it's just an amazing feeling, and it's very blessed. It's like a family. So you feel like you're right at home from the very beginning.
It doesn't stop here. After today, we keep on doing it, I'm still going to go collect book bags this week from my family members, from friends that are still willing to give because they couldn't make it today.
What makes them a powerful group is that everything about them is real. They're not trying to give off false impression. They're not trying to tell you what you're doing wrong. They're trying to show you the right way. And they don't show you by telling it to you. They show you by being that example. And they teach you that if you help each other, if you hold on to each other, you'll get that perfectness that you search for. So it's the first group that I've ever encountered that was that way.
Well, there you go. They say actions speak louder than words, and there's a group putting that into action by activating their faith. Of course, you saw David Bosono there as well of Too Blessed to Be Stressed fame, and you can see that show right here on the net. Well, that's it for tonight. Now, coming up tomorrow, a look back at Iraq. As America's military operations there draw to a close, we'll get some analysis from an expert on just war theory. Meantime, remember, we're always online over at currentsny.net. You can also check us out on Facebook as well. Just search for Currents. And if you have an idea for a story, maybe you just want to get in touch with us and say hi, you can do that via our email address. It's drop us a line, that's all one word, at currentsny.net. Until next time, I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night.